The one thing that I wish I had known before I started drinking alcohol was fill in the blank. Now, the vast majority of alcoholics will tell you they wish they never started to begin with. Unfortunately, for most people, they begin their alcoholic career between the ages of 13 and 20 during their teenage years. This is called stage one, or the experimental stage. So let's delve further into this. Now, stage one alcoholism is really called the experimental stage because kids tend to try different things, like all kids do. It's pretty normal to try, beer, wine, spirits. Unfortunately, it can also lead into heavier things like fentanyl or heroin, but for the sake of conversation today, we're talking about alcohol. Now, alcohol with kids is really deals with a lot of anxiety, peer pressure, and introversion. A lot of kids they really haven't come into their own. It's a way to escape their own personality or their developing personality. Peer pressure is huge in this particular age group, teenage and college years. You're almost weird if you don't drink. Most activities are surrounded with alcohol, most social activities anyways. So this is where it all begins, just in youth. The vast majority of people grow out of this era, but there are a certain percentage, as much as 20%, that will go to stage two, and it will actually affect both themselves and their family members. Stage one alcoholism is also characterized as the experimental stage because there's also a lot of binge drinking. It means they drink in excess because kids don't really understand their tolerance or actually the effects of alcohol yet. And many kids have to learn the hard way. And binge drinking in excess, is part of all that, that experiment. And unfortunately, it can be a very difficult experiment for some kids. Some kids actually, can find themselves in an emergency room or even worse because they don't understand how alcohol works. And the only way to understand that is to drink in excess. And, in social situations for that age group, you're usually spurred on by your friends and the people that you're surrounded with. Drink. And this can cause, serious problems later on. Now, the good news about stage one is that there's no dependence yet. There's no dependent buildup with the alcohol. The person is not, emotionally, physically, and chemically addicted to alcohol yet. So it's a good time for family members to be aware of what's going on with their children, or friends even, to understand what's going on. And if there's a situation where they need to step in, kids need to be educated on, what's going to happen if they continue down this path. And this is the time where you have the most success in having the hard conversation. It's better to have the hard conversations now about alcohol and where that can lead to, rather than when they're in stage two or three and they're already chemically dependent. Now is the time to nip it in the bud. Now, as parents, this is the stage one where you should have the most influence on your children. If you see them drinking, if you got an underage kid and you see him drinking, there really should be no tolerance for it. I mean, if you need to, you almost need to do a mini intervention. Really sit them down and say, this is no longer going to happen. We're going to have really big problems if this continues. This should be able to at least curb some of it. I mean, kids are going to be kids no matter what. But if you've raised good kids, they'll understand. They will respect what you're saying, at the least. This is the time to act, because if it goes down to stage two or three, it becomes out of your hand. And once they're an adult, there's only so much you can do as a parent. So what I'm really getting at with this video is the easiest way to stop alcoholism in our world today and in society is to stop it before it ever starts. So if you need help with this, links are above. Set up a breakthrough call if you need a family member who's really struggling with this, especially if it's a child. That's really the avatar, the person I'm trying to help the most. Stop it before it starts. Set up a breakthrough call. And again, thanks for listening.